Hi everyone, welcome to Blue Dragon Universe. Now, this will be a very small video, I believe, and this is related to a question that I got in LinkedIn. And the question is related to you keep on like I keep on saying that papers are outdated and papers do not help you in job. So you should not celebrate that much in LinkedIn when you pass paper. You are writing motivational posts, so that is not needed. So then, what is the paper for? Right? Is it needless? It is useless, right? And also, someone asked me, like, since you are saying this, are you not insulting the people? That is where I just wanted to draw a line and also maybe rectify myself. And I think it is also very important to recognize your mistake, like I'm going to do in this video. When I say paper is outdated, it means from job perspective. Like if you just like many people, what I've observed, many actual students believe that solving or clearing a paper is a big thing. In actually, it should not be a big thing. Like our profession is so tough that clearing a tough paper, like an actual paper, is actually the bare minimum, right? And that is unfortunately or fortunately, that is the requirement of this profession. So when I'm saying that papers are outdated, papers are not that great in terms of relevance to the job. I only mean from job perspective. So what does paper stand for, right? So paper teaches you, and if you are studying from the paper on your own, if you are not going through notes, these days I see many people, many young talented people who can do wonders in their life, but they are going through notes because they consider actual exam as a normal exam. Actual exam is a professional exam. It is not a normal exam. It is not your class 8, class 9 level exam where you are studying from notes. Even in class 8 and 9, you should not study from notes. You should grasp the entire concept. That way, you get the full picture. You get to see the bigger picture. You can link the dots, right? Like Steve Jobs says, only you can only connect the dots when you go beyond a particular point. When you look backward, then only the dots will be connected. But if you are at that point of time, you might score more marks and you feel that you are ahead of someone, but actually you're not ahead because that person has scored less mark, but that person is conceptually strong, right? Especially in the age of AI, where the basic concepts would be kind of covered by AI itself. So the person who would be doing well would be someone who has in-depth concept. So actual papers are very important to give you principal understanding, like actual principal understanding. Like I am an actuary now. I also trade the market. These days I'm creating some apps which are related to my field, right? And initially I was creating those applications or apps for myself. Then I shared that thought process with someone in my office, and he told me, "Why don't you publish it for everyone?" And I thought, "Yeah, that's a good idea." But then publishing an app in Google Play Store is quite difficult. So it requires 12 testers and everything. If you follow me on LinkedIn, I've asked a couple of times for 12 testers. So it's not easy. Now I have to figure out like and one month, one app, I think that is sufficient. I've created around 6, 7 apps, of all which I will not go to publish. But how it is related is because I understand the actually from its first principles. Like if you ask me like what is say non-unit reserve, right? Or what is unit reserve? How is it different from maybe a prospective reserve? Because I understand this from first principle, my clarity of concepts is very strong. And I can use the similar concepts in a field like say trading, in a field like artificial intelligence. And I can understand, no, this is LLM, what LLM does. Okay, this is how LLM works, right? So LLM or neural network, these are all minimization problem. Like it is trying to minimize the distance between actual and expected. And in actually also there is a chapter on actual versus expected, which you call analysis of surplus. If you have studied SA2, you would already know. So one concept can be replicated in another part, but you will never get the hang of that if you study through notes. So that is where I always suggest that you have to study from the material. You have to study the entire material, then revise it, then solve the problems, and again revise it so that your conceptual clarity is very strong. You understand the principles from actuarial study material. That is never outdated, right? And that is where I like to correct myself. That is never outdated, and I also like to apologize here that I keep on saying it is outdated, material is outdated. The actual principle is never outdated. Yes, but earlier maybe if you have cleared the paper, then there is some closer resemblance to the work, but these days with the advent of AI and everything, that resemblance to the work is has gone. Is slightly now the work is slightly more easier, I believe. But for that, you need to direct the LLM in the right, right space, right way, and for that, you probably would need, again, you would need conceptual clarity. So once you have conceptual clarity, maybe even in the base topics, then it is easier for you to divert. So always study actual materials from the standpoint of understanding or developing a concept from first principles. Like, you do not have to memorize anything. That is the power of first principles, right? So if you know what is the definition of prospective. If I ask you, suppose in an interview, what is the definition of prospective reserve? You gave me the formula: expected present value of benefit plus expense minus expected present value of premium, right? So that is the formula. But if you can, without remembering, this formula you have to remember, right? But if you can develop this formula without even remembering anything, right? So then there is less pressure on your brain, because you can recall anything and almost everything, which is what I can do because I have developed everything from first principle. So even if I do not need to remember anything, if I need to remember something or if I need to create something, then I'll just go to the first principles and then I'll derive it from there, right? So if you can do that, and if you study actual materials with that concept, with that power, instead of going through notes and cramming up patterns, what will come in exam and how I can pass exam, which is how most of the people are doing it today. If you do not do that, and if you study from first principle perspective, then the entire actual journey, when you go for an interview, when you go for maybe a difficult problem in your job, when you get a difficult problem, because only when you can solve difficult problem, then only will get a promotion or hike in your life, right? I always say this is the hardcore world of corporate business. If you cannot earn the business 10 crore, why would the business give you 1 crore in package, right? So you understand that this is how the dynamics work, right? So you have to solve problems which other cannot. In order to solve problems, you need clarity of concepts. Clarity of concept comes from first principle. So if you study the material from that perspective, then your thought process automatically will change. Many people ask me, how we can, like in LinkedIn message, can you check my CV? Do you think my CV is good? So if you actually have studied from first principle, you automatically know whether your CV is good or bad, because you know what to write in the CV, right? When someone asks you a question in an interview, you will explain in extreme clarity. In 10 minutes or maybe even 5 minutes, that the interviewer will know that this person is strong. I don't need to interview that person. This person will figure out the answer on his own, right? And that is what we as managers want to hire people, because this person can, do our job or make our job easier, right? So that is the reason. And once you can do our job completely, then you deserve a promotion, right? That is what most of the people and most of the managers, most of the leaders are looking for. So yes, actual materials are definitely, they are not in sync with the work that we do. Our work is much more difficult. But if you understand the principles, then it's just a matter of time that you get to the level of work that you do, right? If you're a fresher, then you'll take some time. If you have worked somewhere maybe for 1 year, 1.5 year, and if you have developed everything from first principles, you are probably already doing very well, right? And then understanding of actual software, understanding how to direct an LLM, what to write as a prompt in AI would be automatically very, very easy for me, right? Because you know what to look for. And that is the difference between an average actuary and maybe a good actuary, a great actuary, is they know these are the three things that might cause a change, and they would only look for those three things and find the answer. And others would not know, and they would look for 100 things, and then they would be able to find the answer. And that is why this person who just checked for three things, they would be much faster and efficient, right? So that is the purpose of the actual book. So actual book is no way, and if I have communicated in that way, I just like to correct myself. The actual book in no way is redundant or is useless. No, that is not the case. Actual book, if read properly, is extremely good. I don't think there is any certification in finance which is better than actually, right? Just let me put this on record. There is CFA, there is FRM, there is CA, etc. There is MBA Finance, etc. I have done FRM myself. I have never studied CFA, but I have done MBA Finance as well, right? So, and in MBA, I've read bit of accounts, which is that CA part. But what I can say and what I can guarantee is actually is the best financial certification out there, right? You should always do something from the perspective of knowledge, from the perspective of clarity, how much value it adds to your own mental maturity. You should never do something from what salary you are going to get, because if you know something from first principle, you would right now would not be able to see that. You will be able to apply that concept in different spheres of life. You might not be even in actuary, but if you have learned something from first principle, you might be able to apply that concept, say maybe even in workout, or maybe even how to cook, what would be the right proportion of the diet. Everything, everything will follow those principles, right? So always try to learn about the actuarial concepts from the study material completely, not through notes and through the first principle. Do not try to remember things, try to derive things. That might be slightly time taking initially, but once you are in the hang of doing that, things gets easier. So that's it. That's the short presentation that I have for today. And I hope you are enjoying actually, and you are on your course to become the best actuary in the world. See you in next video.